TV, your number one spiritual and mental.
Okay, your number one spiritual and entertainment TV. If today happens to be the day you're watching us for the first time, please, let's do this thing together. Help me. Let's do this assignment together. This is what you do. Please go to YouTube. When you go to YouTube, if someone shared it to you, but you want to know which platform it's coming from Click TV. Click TV. So you go to YouTube and type Click TV. It will give you Click TV. Now we have varieties of Click TV, but this Click TV is the one with Click TV GH. Click TV GH. So when you have Click TV GH, what you do is you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then when it comes to the bell, as in the bell beneath the subscription, please click on it so that anytime that we come live, you also be able to participate. Not for someone to share for you, but to also have it as first hand. We've been learning at the spiritual school. This is the Click Spiritual School. If today's your first time, the spiritual school is here to enhance you to do things on your own. Basically, some of the things are things that are or issues are challenges that can be resolved at home. Producer, is the YouTube working?
Yeah.
Okay. These challenges can be resolved at home, not excuse me to say, basically for you to come and see me before you can have solution to it. So please have it in mind, and that is why we are here. And sincerely, the school started just last week, or last 2 weeks, and the response that I'm getting, they are very, very marvelous. They are very, very, very marvelous. In fact, I am overwhelmed with the kind of response that are coming. So let's, producer, this is Click Spiritual School. What caption have you given it to it on YouTube?
Different types of spiritual.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How come I'm having different thing here? Okay, all right. So it's a school, and everything has to be in order. It shouldn't be. There shouldn't be mistakes. Everything has to be rectified as soon as possible. Now, what we are discussing is for you to know the different types of spiritualism that we have. The different types of spiritualism that we have in the world. When I talk about these different types of spiritualism, it is not only Ghana or Africa, but worldwide. So basically, most of you are doing very, very well when it comes to the classroom. You are really, really putting in a lot of effort with questions, and some of you, I don't know whether you are shy or you don't have questions at all, but please don't hesitate to ask questions. If you don't understand anything, don't hesitate to ask questions. Yesterday, let's do a little bit recap of what we studied yesterday in terms of the different types of spiritualism that we have in the world. I made mention of the traditional spiritualism, and then I made mention of the Wiccan spiritualism. We did mention the green spiritualism, or the green ritual, or the green wizard, which also comes to the same spiritualism. We made mention of the kitchen spiritualism, whereby you use things that are found within the kitchen for the spiritual purpose. Okay, you use things that are found within the kitchen for spiritual purpose. So we made mention of that one as well. And then we have the the health, the health, the health spiritualism. We have the water spiritualism. We have the cultural spiritualism. We have the eclectic spiritualism. We have the secular spiritualism. We have the air spiritualism. We have the cosmic spiritualism. Okay, we have the cosmic spiritualism. So basically, those are the ones we mentioned yesterday. And then we have the crystal spiritualism. That is where we'll be starting today's lecture from. Crystal spiritualism. I believe we all know crystals. Producer, can you display crystal on the screen for me, please, so that viewers will be able to know what we are talking about? Crystal. Do you have crystal anyway? You don't have crystal? Okay. Now, for those of you, if you know the diamond, okay, diamond is another type of stone. Okay, crystals are in the form of stones. They are in the form of stones, or certain precious stones can also be termed as crystals. Let me put it that way, so that you, the beginner, can understand the whole subject. You can understand the whole subject. So basically, crystals can be used in other forms of spiritualism, but those specializing in the current primary focus on crystals as conduct for their spiritual practice. Almost everything these spiritualists do in their practice, it involves crystals in one way or the other. They make sure crystal never mix in their formulas. Okay, they make sure crystal never mix in their formulas. They can meditate with crystals, use them for healing, or use them as talismans. They can also use crystals in their altars or as offerings. When you go to the Jewish, okay, they can buy precious stones as much as $12,000, $30,000, and use them within their working environment. Ask yourself, how many people will be able to purchase a precious stone with the tuition behind it, that when you have it, it will make everything that you are doing successful. Okay, it will make everything that you are doing successful. Most people don't even think about it at all. They don't. Now, with crystal, with the relating spiritualism of crystal to earth, okay, to earth, since crystal comes from earth, it is always considered as the earthly spiritualism. So if you hear someone talking about the earthly spiritualism, he or she is referring to crystal spiritualism. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is the draconic spiritualism. This is common in the Chinese or the Japanese parts of the world. The dragon spiritualism work only with dragon energy. They call on dragon spirits by invoking or evoking them in performing formulas to work with. They do draconic meditation and even astral traveling to encounter spiritual entities that embody dragon spiritualism. Dragon spiritualism always work closely with their own kind, with whom they connect on spiritual and the practice of their levels. So anyone with a draconic practice, make sure that they are in close relation with someone who is in line with whatever that they are doing. So please have that in mind, students. And then we have the elemental spiritualism, or the elemental spiritual practice. These practitioners use all the elements and effectively incorporate them into their work. That is, they use any or of the 4 elements in their rituals and spells. This spiritual practice tend to draw power from the air, fire, earth, or water, and utilize their energies to effect change in mankind. Okay, so those who maybe you hear someone talking about elementary, I use elementary spirit, I use, what they are talking about is if someone is using elementary spirit and they tell you, don't be, as a student, don't be overwhelmed that, hey, what is elementary? It is basically referring to spirit that relates with air, spirit that relates with fire, spirit that relates with air, spirit that relates with water. So have that in mind. And then we have those who also use fairy. I always talk about using fairy in most of the formulas that I do, like those who come to see me one-on-one, activating whatever that I do for you. Most of them I use fairies. So I create the avenue for them to be closer to me. Make sure what they like. Can you display fairy for me, please, so that they can understand what I'm talking about? Yes, these are fairies are like flies. If you don't take time, you might think they can grow big. Okay, they can expand to be the normal human size, or to be even giants. But in their normal size, they are like insects. So if you are not careful, you might not see them. And where they are mostly found around the human body is our ears. They are always whispering into our ears when they get closer to us. Now, this type of spiritual practice is basically using the powers from fairies. Practitioners will have fairy gardens outside their homes. In all their work, they call on the spirit of the fairies and their kin. It is common practice to leave offerings for them, and some even travel to the fairy realm to work their spiritual formulas there. So for those who don't have the access to prepare a place or a garden where these fairies can come and rest, so that if they need any spiritual assistance and they want to use these fairy powers, they can go there. There are places where you can travel around the world. Where you go is basically for fairies. Okay, we have them even in the Middle East. They have it. If you go to some of these European countries, they have it. If you go to some parts of the States, they have it. So please have it in mind. This spiritual practice can work in both realms, and hardly ever do any spiritual without the fairy assistance. So anyone who rely solely on the fairy energy, or the spiritual energy coming from the fairies, there's no way if they work solely with these fairies, there's no way they will do anything without the assistance of the fairy. But the good thing about the fairy ones is you can blend them with any kind of the practice that you are using. Okay, whether you are using elemental, whatever you are using, you can blend the fairy with it, and it can help you. So please, students, take note of it. And then we have the hereditary spiritualism. This type of spiritualism is the one that your grandfather or your father has it, and then they pass it on to you during death. Okay, when they passed on, then they pass it on to you. They tell you it's your turn. It is common in our traditional system where we have the traditional priest passing on the mantle to maybe his first son or the first daughter based on his physical challenge as to health, or maybe they happens to pass on. Then the oracle basically select such people. They select them. They don't just handpick. If the father trained the child during the time of his practice with these ancestral spirits, what happens is either ancestral spirits, angelic or whatever it is, what happens is the child automatically becomes the next of kin when it comes to the practice of it. So when the father is weak or has passed on, what happens is they go in for such a child to take over. So have it in mind. So you have someone who talks about, oh, this is in our house. So basically we happens to inherit it from my grandmother, my great grandfather, or you understand? Once they say this, then you know where it is coming from. And this hereditary spiritualism, it can be Islam, can be Christianity, can be the traditional, can be the fairy, can be whatsoever. So if maybe what is happening is, you see, most of the kind of situations that are hitting us now is because we did not take on the mantle that our predecessors passed on to us. That is why most of the challenges are coming from. So you don't know how to go according to the kind of spirit that you have. And since you have no knowledge as to how to settle these higher entities that are surrounding you, basically what happens is at the end of the day, you make mistakes and then they don't forgive you. And it goes on from generation to generation. So if this generation takes the mantle and then they go according to the marathon, they pass it on to the next generation, and then they also take the mantle and continue as it is. So have that in mind. We have the pop culture spiritualism. Example of the pop culture spiritualism is, for those of you who have watched Harry Potter before, can you display the magical stick for me, please? The magical spirit stick. Now, that is the original magical stick that can produce results. It produces results. This type of spiritual practice draw on pop culture reference to their spiritual work. They get their inspirational from things that surround them or current gadgets that they can use in their practice. Within a particular current of spiritualism, practitioners believe in the typical energies associated with this kind of current spiritual practice. The collective belief and attention of the masses imbues these entities with actual power. So, for instance, those of you who have watched Harry Potter, you saw how things goes within Harry Potter, yes. And this kind of a magical stick is common in Harry Potter. If you watch Harry Potter, you will see this kind of magical stick. It is termed as the pop culture spiritualism, or the pop culture witchcraft. Okay, meaning you use masterminding what is current and how you can go about doing things in the current way. So please have that in mind. The next one that we are looking at is the sigil spiritualism. The sigil is the practitioners of sigil, witchcraft, use sigil in every aspect of their spiritual practice. A sigil is a symbol, a representation of one's intent. They use any form of sigil, including some simple drawing of a piece of paper or on a brass or gold. Okay, if they want to have the best out of it, they use silver or gold. Pieces of paper and other ones are normally not effective for them. Those who practice it in the higher hierarchy, they don't normally use that. Or very complicated sigils requiring spiritual tools like incense or candles. So the kind of tools that goes with these sigils are incense and candles. They goes hand in hand with them, and oils. Okay, all their energy is focused on one sigil, one single sigil. Sigil spiritualism can be a very powerful and quick form of spiritual practice. There are many ways to make sigils, and every practitioner will refine their techniques to suit their personality. It is becoming a more popular form of spiritual practice as sigils are becoming easier to find. Now, the ways you can find sigils and other are based on the kind of teachings that surrounds us. The kinds of teachings that surrounds us can give you these sigils. Okay, can give it to you when you, for instance, today, if you go to Bishop teachings today on, he has started a certain series. If you check that side where he's discussing sigils, you understand the practice of it. If you are using sigil for spiritualism, how it is or how it works. I've discussed that one too as well, whereby you mention the name of the angel associated with that symbol, and then you go according to it. So take note of that. And it will go a long way to help you. We have the spirit spiritualism.
Share new lenses with your
When we
friends.
talk about spirit spiritualism, what do we mean by spirit spiritualism? This is often different practice of spiritual activities, whereby spiritual energies that are called upon are past spirits or past people, past living beings like you and I. We passed on, and based on our good works, we become spirits. Okay, we become spirits. How do we become spirits? When we are going through the ancestral process. The ancestral process is when you are going through the reincarnation process, whereby you move through the reincarnation process to the point where you can come back on this earth as a reincarnated. Okay, some who have achieved their purpose of going and coming are not allowed to come back, but they are not condemned as well, but they are used in the process as in passing judgment or giving different types of job when it comes to the reincarnation level. So if, for instance, you went and you are very good, you can be used as a guide, as a lawyer. All these lawyers and guide and protectors, they are all they've lived on this universe before they passed on, and then based on their hard work as they've been going and coming, they were passed on. So when you are calling on such spirits, they are there. Okay, they are visible and they can come. That is why most of our ancestors will pour libation and mention names of the past one. Well, they don't know which of them is alive or not. I hope you understand. They don't know which of them is still with us or on the other side. So they mention their name, and any of them that is alive comes in their aid. And some also do call on other spirits, such as angelic ones. They call on the marine spirits. They call on so many of them in the name of spiritualism or spiritual practice. Okay, they call upon them. So don't be surprised if you come across any of these. There are so many. This is where we will end today's lectures on. We are ending our section on spirits and the different types of spiritual practice. Different types of spiritual practice. I've mentioned a couple of them to you. Because we have English and then the Twi section, what we do is we'll give you the English and then we'll give you the Twi as well, so that in the classroom those who don't understand the Ghanaian language can also fit in as well. Now, if you want to meet me one-on-one, it's at Movenpick. Please, you can call the number on your screen if you are in the diaspora. If you're in the diaspora, you can call the number on your screen and request a session with me. They will book you and tell you when you can meet me. You can meet me, as in me being at where you are or in Ghana. So please mark it and save the number. If you want to meet, at the moment my location is in Ghana, so if you want to meet me, you can meet me in Ghana. May the Creator guide you. And if you don't understand anything, just raise your hand in the classroom and I will answer you according to the kind of question that you ask. Don't be shy. Just come forward and ask your question. If you have issues whereby you need solutions to them too, you can bring them up and we'll resolve. I will give you solutions as to how you can apply to them. May the Creator guide you and see you through. God willing, Friday will end the different types of spiritual practice that we have in the world. Then we'll continue again with another session which will go a long way to help you. So as I've given you, I've hit them one after the other for you. Please jot them down and it will go a long way to help you. See you on Friday. This is where we bring the English version to an end. Thank you.